Hey guys, it's Stormy Nori. The name is so in case this content creation doesn't work out, it's an easy pivot to an adult film career or politics. So I've come to realize that Stormgate co-op gear is sort of this hidden knowledge known only to a select few, apparently. And so I've come to spread the good news to all in that most ancient of forms a tier list. So I'm just going to dive in, starting with the primary gear the gear that goes in that first gear slot that you unlock at level 11. First one we have here is Battle Hardened. All melee units deal 20% bonus attack damage, which you unlock with Wars at level 11. Um, that's pretty good. It's not terrible. It hits Void Brutes, Fire Giants, Wars, Fiends, bunch of other guys, Archangels, Hoplites, Crusaders, Lancers. But we're gonna find there's usually better things than that. But it's not a half bad pickup at level 11, certainly if you're leveling Wars. So toss it on B tier. There's a lot worse augments than that out there. So next is Eager Volunteers, reduce resource costs of biological units by 30%. That's excellent for blockade. Blockades unlocks tend to revolve around biological units, which works out really well. But note that any commander can use this. Same with any of these first five are any commanders, and the Infernal commanders might definitely benefit from that. Whereas it'll be better gear for Vanguard commanders. But nevertheless, that's excellent. So we're going to toss that there in A. 10% range bonus attack damage. This was the first gear that I unlocked. And it's okay. It's not terrible. It's just going right there in B. We don't need to over explain that one. Okay. Next is Vile Concoction. All ranged units gain 30% increased vision radius. So um, that's what everyone's looking for. And one bonus attack range. The one bonus attack range is the only thing there that I would say makes it, sort of considerable. I mean, I guess if you're a big Infernals fan and you're a Kickstarter backer, so you don't want to play Wars, well, actually, then you should still honestly just level up Blockade anyways and use this. But if you're leveling up Malloc first, then one extra attack range is something. It's not nothing. Whereas the vision radius sort of is nothing. Um, so that's a C tier for that one. On to the next one. Rapid innovation. Your headquarter starts at tier 2. I have a soft spot for this one. My Amara build rushes tier 2, unlike my other commanders, just because her hoplite call down. I'm gonna make a video at some point about her hoplite call down. I think it's the best top bar ability in the game, especially for an average player. I'm sure that for a really skilled player, Wars is kind of similar call down. Is probably a little bit better, but you gotta kind of babysit those units a bit, at least until you unlock the longer timers on that, and even then that's a little bit stressful. Whereas the tier 3 hoplites, you don't need to babysit those guys. They're ridiculous. So that's really good. There's actually a lot of things I think you can do with that. I think it's an A tier gear. There's a lot you can do with that on any champion. Also, like if you're going for like mech or flyers, you might want to just start there. But there's going to be a few pieces of gear that you might consider over that, I think. We're going to actually slide it up one. Including this one. Advanced training is ridiculous. That's insane. Okay, sorry about that. So as I got to this next one, I realized I should show you guys just how like insane tier 3 veterancy is. Um so this is the veterancy for Amara's hoplites. So they start at around 400 health, maybe a little less actually. I think maybe around 300. Sorry, they start around 300 health, I think. And then they get a total of 100. They get 180 health, and then some. So like they get almost 200 health, right? They get almost 200 health, 30% weapon damage, 15 armor, and I forget how the armor formula works. But it is significant. They are tanky boys. And this gear just means that all biological units begin at tier 3 veterancy. That is absurd. That is which is, and it's the fact that that is free to play, I think, is phenomenal. It's so funny that like their best free to play thing is like hidden away here. Anyway, sorry, I shouldn't belabor that point, honestly. But easy S tier, easy S tier. And then we've got two more big ones here. So there is Booming Economy, which is a blockade one, and a kind of Infernal, and Infernals have the same thing, which you unlock through with wars. In either way, it's Luminite and Therium mining is increased by 2 per trip. And for Infernals and for Vanguard, they start at 4. So that's awesome. That is absolutely excellent. And those are S tier. So there's the Vanguard one. There is the Infernal one. You can see I've got a little 6 on the coins and some little, stars trying to be all infernally. And then the Celestials have one that is really good. I'm not sure if it's quite on the level of these. Okay, so this is Therium Replication. You get it from Orlana at level 12, increases all Therium mining by 50%, which she has other unlocks that also increase Therium mining, actually all mining, I think, which is team-wide. So that's really, really strong. The only thing making it not quite as strong, I think, as the other ones is it's Therium only. It's not also Luminite. So that one is going to go A tier. So then we have Pit Crew, which is Amara level 15. That's really strong. I've been using that a little bit now. Oh, and it's kind of a funny thing. It sort of actually has 2 icons. It looks like this. And then also, though, it looks like this when you click it. When you click it, it looks a little different. So if you're like, oh, what gear is that? It's the 3 extra bobs one. So let me go pull up my tier list again there. Sorry about that. There we are. So it's really strong. It's probably I think I'm gonna upgrade to these when I can. In fact, I'm probably gonna I would even I think do the tier 2 start over it. But it's definitely good. It's a lot better than the 10% extra damage that I was doing before. Yeah, it's a good augment. Interesting. I must have taken the picture before I unlocked it, I guess. Huh. So that brings us to, oh, this next one is bad. What is this next one? Sorry, it's an Amara one. Oh yeah, increases the maximum energy of the top bar by 50%. That's why I couldn't remember that one. So I tested this. It's just as bad. I thought, oh, maybe they're leaving something out of the tooltip. They're not. It's just the max energy, which on Amara you'll pretty much never hit max energy because there's always opportunities to use it on either Mark for Death or the defense thing. And that's it. That's assuming that you're keeping your 3 hoplites alive. If you're not keeping your 3 hoplites alive, then you'll use it on that. And on blockade, it's like you just have so many better options. So it I don't really think that one's usable, frankly. I'm gonna go call that our first D tier. So I haven't unlocked the Celestial and Infernal here. But I pulled the stats so we can talk about anyways. So we've already discussed Therium Replication. We put it in A tier. It's a good economic choice, especially for Celestials who don't have the other two. So that one's there. And that means our next gear is the best gear piece, of course, is all flying units have their sight increased by 25% after, grinding away on Orlana to level 15. That is your reward. People can tell me if I'm missing something there, if I'm undervaluing vision. I guess I could sort of see like scouting, but like on a but compared to everything else, I'm a little bit surprised that that piece of gear exists, quite frankly. But moving on, this is overall, I really love the gear. That one is just that's a bit of a head scratcher. I've waffled back and forth on this one a bit. That's why there was the little edit just now. Is I was considering putting this one at the bottom of or like somewhere in B tier. I don't think it quite gets there. Though maybe like you definitely can play around white health. I just don't really. I find it but that might be a skill issue. But anyways, I'm going to put it top of C tier. It might be B tier. It might manage to get into the promised land of B tier. But I think it's just not quite there. Maximum white health, you got to still play around that a bit. You can't it's not like they're just coming out and suddenly, oh, they're better units already. You still got to actually make sure that you're considering that it's white health and it's going to decay over time if you're off of creep or whatever. So the next one is consuming hordes. Trying supply capacity increased by 50. I think it's the best Malok unlock. That last one was also a Malok unlock, by the way. And that's not bad. It's nice to have a little bit of extra cushion on your early macroing. I think I'm going to put that at the top of B tier. I think it's not quite on the level of these A tier ones in my mind, but it's not bad. You could definitely play that, and that's all right. So that's how our primary gear is looking. And there actually is one takeaway here I would like to mention before we move on, is this is the most free-to-play friendly thing in this game. The two of the top 3 gear in the game are free to play. That's amazing. And then we've got another free to play one at A tier. That's amazing. That's like genuinely like I wouldn't have expected that. So I think that's pretty great. So I'm gonna move on, and we can discuss whether that's a reasonable gear list later. But for now, I'm going to go into secondary gear, and I'm going to talk about how they combine a bit, and we'll wrap up. Okay, so welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start with the secondary gear now, starting with heavy construction. So blockade unlock structures have 100% bonus bounds, maximum health. I actually saw one guy using that, which was a little bit surprising to me, but I guess, and I asked him why, and he said that he was using the tower, the sentry post. So I'm not sure, and he seemed to know what he was doing. But I'm a little bit surprised by that. I see that currently as the weakest one, especially because we also can't select what mission we're doing, as far as I know. Unless, yeah, I don't think you can select what co-op mission you're doing. If you could, then you could just do the whole eye defense on the outbreak equivalent. I think it's called, no, actually I forget what it's called. Then then you could definitely use that, and that'd be pretty good. But for now, I think there's better options even for blockade. So let's see what is next. Yes, raiding force. The war is unlocked when an enemy unit or structure is killed, gain 10% of its resources in plunder. I'm really looking forward to leveling up wars so I can try this out. But I think that actually really enables a lot of play styles. I think that if you're good with that, you can use that to play a heavy offense game. And so I might regret it, but I'm gonna put it in S tier. I think that it's definitely usable at S tier. It's possible that it's only it is only 10% of the resources. But right now I'm putting it in S tier. I'll show a video at some point in the future. I accidentally recorded it on Zoom, and it turns out that Zoom doesn't record at a high frames per second, so it's super choppy. But my Amara build with no gear on Annihilation 4 will take out those 4 groups of enemies that come at you on the on Crooked Canyon, which is wild. Like that's a lot of resources in plunder potentially. And that in the one that I do it on, actually, I lost my fire starter because I got greedy. But then, yeah, I still was able to easily take out the 4 groups with my Amara build without gear and down the fire starter. And I'll show that off later. But that's part of what makes me suspect that this is, I think, very, very strong. So next up is Train to Kill. Biological units deal 25% bonus attack damage. That's what I've been using so far here. What's an Amara unlock. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. Sorry, it does say it there. And it's really good. I think I'm going to call it A tier. The reason why it's better than B tier is, one, this is the secondary gear, so there's not as much competition. There's just not as much secondary gear as there is primary gear. And number 2, there's a lot of biological units out there, and 25% bonus damage is starting to really stack up. That's more than just, the 20% for melee only. And the fact that it is melee means that it's probably going to be doing less damage than it would if it was 20% ranged, for example, in the primary gear there that was in B tier. And it also is going to pair really well with the Vanguard biological units 3 veterancy start. But also is really good for Infernal commanders as well. So I think it's a great piece of gear, and I think it's going to make it into A. The next one is interesting. Unstable Infusion. I think that one definitely has some potential, especially the 50% increased health regeneration. Overall, I'm more of I like to have stronger offense capabilities rather than defense capabilities. But I think that's really good. I think it's still quite good. I would play that. Wouldn't be mad at that if I was, leveling Malloc. So I'm gonna put that in B tier there. Oh yeah. Right, mana capacitors. So that one is an Orlana unlock. All energy using unit bars are increased by 50%. I don't think that's very good, although I could be wrong there. I haven't played a ton with the Animancer or some of the other I just haven't played a lot with any of the kind of caster units. So maybe it's a little bit better, but also, and the wording of that's a little bit confusing. Energy using unit bars increased, which I think is I think it's just saying it's the maximum, like the energy capacity is increased rather than if it was energy regeneration, that would be a little bit more interesting to me. But I don't think it's very good. We're gonna go put that one, I think, in C tier. It's almost a D tier. It's right on the cusp of me and D tier. So next up we have biological units are trained 30% faster, which is also just excellent. I think call it A or B. I think you can make an argument for either. Overall, I think I'm gonna say A. But you could, I wouldn't be mad if you throw that one in B tier. Last, but anything but least, is salvaged equipment. This one's fantastic. So I've been using this. It's a ton of fun. The veterancy doesn't always show up on like the screen. It sometimes you even you need to actually click them to see that. So it actually is all mechanical units. I was wrong previously. I thought it was only the ones out of the mech bay and then also the medic. But that was just a visual thing. For some reason, the veterancy bars were not showing up on the screen itself, but when you select them, you can see it. And so it's the flyers, it's the medic, it's even the bobs. It's all of them begin at tier 2 veterancy, although they don't all have their resource cost reduced by 20%. The bobs are not, are still remain 50 minerals. Unless it is doing that and it's just not updating the tooltip, which is possible. But I don't think that's the case. I think it's just that I don't think it's actually reducing the resource cost. But regardless, tier 2 veterancy is fantastic. It does apply to the starting fire starter that you get as well, which is nice. So it's just great. That is gonna go in S tier. So here's me putting that one in S tier. Okay, so we have 3 more to go here, starting with the Celestial one from Orlana. Increase all cascade fields by 4 grid. Assuming that it's sort of like a radiant, like a radius sort of thing, that's pretty significant. It's a pretty large amount of space. I just don't know what exactly you're going to do with that. So I think I'm going to put that one in bottom of B tier. I think that one, the other one is definitely better, the health one. In fact, no, we're gonna toss that in C tier. It is good. I think it's probably better than, but I think it's comparable to structure health on most maps, although structure health is going to be better on that outbreak style mission. So next we have Glyph of Summoning, unlocks by Malloc. All infernal production structures have 1 additional maximum charge. Although I'm not a big fan of like the maximum things, usually I think that maximum charges is better because you're not using all your charges all the time. Sometimes you're busy microing stuff. Other times, your economy is just not quite there and you're investing it elsewhere. So I think that's pretty good. And I think we can solidly toss that one in B's here. It's not quite as good as the A tier ones, but it's not bad. I think that one goes in B tier, maybe even A tier, but I think B tier. Yes, and then last but not least is All Must Serve. Unlocked by Wars, begin with 5 additional imps. That is excellent. That's top of A tier. I think that one's top of A tier. I don't think quite as good as our S tier ones, but it's really, really good. So if we look at that, we see that Blockade still has a really good secondary gear, which is great. It means that there is an excellent free-to-play setup where you use biological units, you use the tier 3 veterancy, and 30% faster training, and and then if people are doing better than you at that point, that's probably a skill issue, which is great. That's how it should be in my opinion. So I think that's really awesome. I'm looking forward to leveling up Blockade for that. I also think that that this is the reason why I'm going to play Wars. I haven't got Wars yet. I didn't actually think I was going to. I was enjoying the Vanguard a lot, and I was sort of on my way out of this game before I discovered gear and saw that it's such a game changer, and I think that this can be a lot of fun. So I think that's the most exciting one on here. It's not overpowered, but I think it can be really, really good. I know it's just 10%, but the computer gets a lot of units, and so you can really turn that to your advantage quite easily, I think. And then finally, salvaged equipment is awesome. I think it's the strongest one on here by a fair bit, and it's nice. It opens up the mech and flyer play style a bit more, and it's a lot of fun. So there's what my final tier lists look like. Final thoughts are Vanguard is eating well there. Infernals are mostly carried through Wars. Mallocs unlocks overall are a little bit worse than Wars are. Orlana has at least one really good unlock in the starting at headquarters one. Actually, in the Therium Replicator one, the increased mining is good too. She doesn't have any particularly good ones herself in terms of secondary gear. For Orlana, in terms of secondary gear, obviously if you have Wars, get this one. If you don't want to get Wars, fair enough. I would say honestly probably unstable Infusion there. The extra health and health regeneration would be good. I find especially her archangels are actually a little bit squishier than one would like, and so so that might be really good for them. But overall, if you can get this one from Wars, that's probably the way to go there, because a lot of her best units are not biological. So you probably wouldn't want that one for her. That wraps it up for this video. Yeah, do the liking, subscribing thing, all that jazz. Let me know what you want to see next. There's a new celestial hero coming this week, and so maybe I'll do a review of that guy. I'll level that guy up to 15 and get and see what the gear unlocks from him are as well. So I think I'll do a video on all of that. I also want to show you guys at some point. Listen, I'm not very good at this game, but I think I have an absolutely sweet Amara build order that that just way overperforms anything else. Like nothing really comes particularly close to it. So until next time, you stay classy, Stormgate players. Ciao.